Hello friends and welcome. Today I am going to deliver a lecture on treatment and control of communicable diseases and health programs if applicable. Let us first try to have a look at the main objectives of today's deliberation. Number first is to give a general and thorough idea about the concept of communicable diseases. Number second, we shall be explaining in detail the treatment for communicable diseases. Number third is to discuss in detail the control of communicable diseases. And finally, we shall be discussing health programs related to communicable diseases. Now, we will start with the introduction about communicable diseases. A communicable disease is an illness caused by a specific infectious agent or its toxic products. It arises through transmission of that agent or its products from an infected person, animal or inanimate reservoir to a susceptible host, either directly or indirectly through an intermediate plant or animal host, vector or the inanimate environment. Control of disease is a reduction of disease incidence, prevalence, morbidity or mortality to a locally acceptable level as a result of deliberate efforts. Continued intervention measures are required to maintain the reduction. Control is to be contrasted with elimination, eradication and extinction. Communicable diseases may be classified according to the causative agent, the clinical illness caused or the means of transmission. Often, all three characteristics are used. Causative agents include bacteria, viruses and parasites. Examples of bacterial diseases include pneumococcal pneumonia and gonorrhea. Viral diseases include influenza, measles and Ebola. Parasitic diseases include malaria and schistosomiasis. Other communicable diseases may be caused by other types of microorganisms such as fungi, for example, histoplasmosis. The types of illness include pneumonia, diarrhea, meningitis or other clinical syndromes. Various categorizations of means of transmission have been used. The American Public Health Association uses these categories, that is, direct transmission, indirect transmission and airborne transmission. Direct transmission refers to direct contact such as touching, biting, kissing, sexual intercourse or the direct projection of droplet spray into the eye, nose or mouth during sneezing, coughing, spitting, singing or talking. Indirect transmission may occur through a vehicle or an arthropod vector. The causative agent may or may not multiply or develop in or on the vehicle. Examples of possible vehicles include water, food, biological products or contaminated articles such as syringe needles. Water and foodborne diseases have the potential for causing outbreaks involving thousands of persons. Before the causative agent was identified, many cases of HIV resulted from blood transfusion. Communicable diseases occur only when the causative agent comes into contact with a susceptible host in a suitable environment. Prevention and control efforts for communicable diseases may be directed to any of these three elements. Communicable diseases affect both individuals and communities, so control efforts may be directed at both. Treatment of persons with communicable diseases with antibiotics typically kills the agent and renders them non-infectious. Thus, treatment is also prevention. A simple way to prevent the occurrence of communicable diseases is to eliminate the infectious agent through, for example, cooking food, washing hands and sterilizing surgical instruments between use. Assuring the safety of drinking water through filtration and chlorination and treating sewage appropriately are other important means of preventing the spread of communicable diseases. For most communicable diseases, there is an interval between infection and occurrence of the symptoms, that is, the incubation period in which the infectious agent is multiplying or developing. Some persons who are infected may never develop manifestations of the disease, even though they may be capable of transmitting it. Some persons may carry the agent over prolonged periods, that is, they are carriers whether or not they develop symptoms. Treatment during the incubation period may cure the infection, thereby preventing both disease and its transmission. This preventive treatment, that is chemoprophylaxis, is often used in persons who have been exposed to sexually transmitted diseases such as syphilis and gonorrhea. The susceptibility of the host to a specific infectious agent can be altered through immunization, for example, against measles, or through taking medications that can prevent establishment of infection following exposure. Besides this, a non-communicable disease is a medical condition or disease that is non-infectious or non-transmissible. Non-communicable diseases can refer to chronic diseases which last for long periods of time and progress slowly. Sometimes non-communicable diseases result in rapid deaths, such as seen in certain diseases such as autoimmune diseases, heart diseases, stroke, cancers, diabetes, chronic kidney disease, osteoporosis, Alzheimer's disease, cataracts and others. While sometimes referred to as synonymous with chronic diseases, non-communicable diseases are distinguished only by their non-infectious cause, not necessarily by their duration, though some chronic diseases of long duration such as HIV/AIDS may be caused by infections. Now, let us discuss types of communicable diseases. Communicable diseases can be spread through bodily fluids, contaminated surfaces, air or food. Some spread during particular seasons and others may be prevalent year round in certain locations. Communicable diseases have a variety of symptoms and can be caused by bacteria, viruses or parasites. Number first is the West Nile virus. West Nile virus is spread by mosquito bites. It is generally a mild disease causing few if any symptoms, but in some cases symptoms can be severe, even leading to death. Mild symptoms of West Nile virus include fever, headache, body aches, skin rash and swollen lymph node glands. Severe symptoms include headache, fever, neck stiffness, muscle weakness, disorientation, tremors, paralysis, convulsions and coma. Number second is the tuberculosis. Tuberculosis is a bacterial lung disease by definition, although it can affect other parts of our body. Tuberculosis is spread when the cough droplets of a person with untreated pulmonary tuberculosis are inhaled. Being around a person with untreated pulmonary tuberculosis for long periods of time is usually what causes transmission. Symptoms of tuberculosis are low grade fever, weight loss, fatigue, persistent cough and night sweats. Number third is the sexually transmitted diseases. Sexually transmitted diseases include more than 25 to 30 infectious bacteria or viruses that are spread through sex. Sexually transmitted diseases are spread from person to person through anal or vaginal intercourse and oral sex. Sexually transmitted diseases such as AIDS or HIV can also be spread through blood transmission or shared needles used for injecting drugs. Most people with sexually transmitted diseases have no symptoms at all, and symptoms vary according to which sexually transmitted diseases you have. The most commonly known sexually transmitted diseases are chlamydia, genital herpes, hepatitis, HIV, HPV and gonorrhea. Number 4 is the ringworm disease. Ringworm is a fungal skin infection that is highly contagious. Ringworm can appear on the scalp, toenail or any part of our skin. Ringworm is spread through direct skin to skin contact with the infected person, animal or by direct contact from touching infected objects such as hair clippers, hair, shower stalls and floors. Symptoms generally consist of a pimple-like bump that grows in size. Over the course of the infection, this bump becomes scaly. Although ringworm is highly contagious, it is easily treatable. Your doctor may prescribe you antifungal creams, tablets or powders. Number 5 is the influenza. Influenza, commonly referred to as flu, is a highly contagious respiratory infection affecting 5 to 20% of the US population. According to the New York State Health Department, each year more than 2 lakh people are hospitalized from complications arising from flu and more than 36,000 people die from these complications. Flu is transmitted from inhaling droplets coughed or sneezed out by a person with flu. It can also be transmitted through a person touching contaminated items, then rubbing their eyes, mouth or nose. Common flu symptoms include fever, headache, extreme fatigue, dry cough, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, achy muscles and upset stomach. Now, let us discuss the treatment and control of communicable diseases. The form of treatment necessary for communicable disease depends on both the source and symptoms of the disease. However, treatment usually involves some form of rest, medication or vaccine. There are numerous common communicable diseases such as throat colds and the flu. They often produce symptoms like sore throat, runny nose, coughing, sneezing, headache, fever and nausea. These can typically be treated with adequate rest and over-the-counter medication. Medication for common communicable diseases may include pain relievers like Tylenol as well as nasal decongestants, cough syrups, anti-nausea pills and throat drops. Common communicable diseases usually dissipate over the course of a few days or weeks. Chronic communicable diseases are severe and not usually spread from person to person via airborne pathogens. They may be spread via parasites, sexual contact or transmission of bodily fluids like blood. Unlike throat colds or other common illnesses, chronic communicable diseases may last months or even a lifetime. Examples of chronic communicable diseases include malaria, Lyme disease, diphtheria and hepatitis. Treatment for chronic communicable diseases usually involves some form of hospitalization, intravenous antibiotics, prescription medication and intensive care. One effective way to treat a communicable disease is by receiving a vaccine before your body becomes infected. Vaccines work by infecting your body with a weakened strain of the actual disease. Your body then produces antibodies to fight the disease. Antibodies remain in the system after the weakened strain is gone and protect the body from later infections. Certain vaccines need only to be administered once, such as vaccines for mumps, measles, whooping cough and polio. Others like the flu vaccine should be taken annually. Prevention is the most effective form of treatment for communicable disease. Boost your immune system by incorporating high levels of antioxidants, fruits, vegetables and antihistamines into your diet. Engage in at least 30 minutes of exercise daily to maintain strength and proper circulation. Drink high amounts of water in excess of 2 liters per day and maintain adequate rest for your body. Wash your hands with soap and water after using the bathroom, handling uncooked meat, sneezing, coughing, or touching a dirty surface. Some communicable diseases have no cure. For example, there is no cure for sexually transmitted diseases like herpes and HIV. Avoiding sexual contact with individuals infected with sexually transmitted diseases is the best and only way to ensure that you do not become infected with such communicable diseases. The cooperation of school personnel, health department, physicians, parents and students is essential. Prevention and control measures can be: number first, enforcing immunization laws and practicing universal precautions, blood-borne pathogen procedures according to school board policies and occupational safety and health standards regulations. Number second, ongoing health education relating to disease prevention, hygiene measures for students, families and school personnel. Number third, implementing good hand washing procedures. Number fourth, implementing case isolation and effective treatment. The Pacific County Health Department protects the community by controlling and preventing the spread of infectious diseases. They do this by receiving reports from healthcare providers about cases of notifiable communicable diseases required by law, investigating cases and providing education to people with communicable diseases and their contacts, reducing the spread of disease by providing and promoting immunizations, providing updated information to area healthcare providers about local, national and global issues of public health concern, educating the community about diseases of concern, identifying potential sources of disease transmission, using appropriate public health methods to interrupt the spread of disease. Now, let us discuss fundamental principles of communicable disease control in emergencies. The fundamental principles of communicable disease control in emergencies are: number first, rapid assessment. Identify the communicable disease threats faced by the emergency affected population, including those with epidemic potential, and define the health status of the population by conducting a rapid assessment. Number second is the prevention. Prevent communicable disease by maintaining a healthy physical environment and good general living conditions. Number third is the surveillance. Set up or strengthen disease surveillance system with an early warning mechanism to ensure the early reporting of cases, to monitor disease trends and to facilitate prompt detection and response to outbreaks. Number fourth is the outbreak control. Ensure outbreaks are rapidly detected and controlled through adequate preparedness and rapid response. Number fifth is the disease management. Diagnose and treat cases promptly with trained staff using effective treatment and standard protocols at all health facilities. Now, coming to the key competencies. Identify communicable diseases of public health importance. Discuss the basic principles for communicable disease control in emergency and post-conflict situations. Discuss how to design and evaluate disease control programs. Describe common disease control strategies including prevention, surveillance and outbreak investigation. Describe methods for promoting community-based and community-led communicable disease control approaches, and decide when to scale up and scale down disease control efforts. Discuss the causes, risk factors, clinical features and management of common diseases. Review key monitoring and evaluation, that is M&E concepts, best practices and challenges. Design an M&E framework for malaria, dengue, tuberculosis and HIV or AIDS control with standard indicators and tools. Explain the role of operational research and identify key areas for operational research in communicable disease control. Moving on, let us try to understand how to protect yourself with healthy habits. Healthy habits prevent germs and infectious diseases from spreading. Learn, practice and teach healthy habits. Handle and prepare food safely. Wash hands often. Clean and disinfect commonly used surfaces. Cough and sneeze into your sleeves. Don't share personal items. Get vaccinated. Avoid touching wild animals and stay home when sick. Now, let us discuss the last part of our today's lecture, that is health programs related to communicable diseases. Communicable disease programs fight the spread of contagious diseases. They work to contain diseases by investigating who is sick and who else might get sick, offering vaccines, providing case management services to those who are sick, ordering lab tests to confirm the presence of a disease or virus, educating health providers and the public, collecting data on diseases, successfully interrupt and contain the spread of communicable disease clusters and outbreaks, identify trends in the community, provide education regarding transmission and prevention, conduct surveillance for over 80 communicable diseases and disease syndromes, investigate disease outbreaks and recommend control measures, conduct spatial studies and projects, produce annual reports, spatial analyses and procedure manuals, and develop policies to address priority health needs. Now, coming to the National Surveillance Program for Communicable Diseases, that is NSPCD. The program is for strengthening the disease surveillance capacity to respond to emerging and re-emerging infectious diseases. The activity was initiated in the year 1997-98 under NSPCD Government of India. Under this comes training of staff, outbreak investigation, strengthening of surveillance system, improving communication, epidemic control analysis, laboratory strengthening. Now, the objectives of NSPCD. Number first is to develop skilled manpower, to strengthen surveillance activities for early detection, to strengthen laboratory support, to institute a network of effective communication link between district and state level. Now, let us come to inputs under NSPCD, which includes training of government medical and paramedical personnel, identification of early warning signals, standard case definitions, early diagnosis and prompt treatment, analysis and interpretation of the data for taking action, monitoring of completeness, timeliness and regularity of reporting at each level through Ministry of Information Services, that is MIS, epidemic control analysis, implementation of epidemic action plan, and lastly, incorporation of information technology at state and district level. With this, we come to the end of our today's lecture. Hope you have understood it very well. Thank you very much and goodbye.